Hello everyone, my name is the Ultimate Spy, and welcome to another episode of Reviewed number 180. And today, I'm going to be reviewing the movie The Sorcerer's Apprentice. So what did I think of The Sorcerer's Apprentice? Well, I actually liked it a lot. I know I say that at the start of all of these reviews, but it's true. This one was actually really fun to watch, honestly. It's obviously a retelling of the original story. I mean, way different, obviously, for like a modern audience, but at the same time, it was just like fun to watch, honestly. Just like, you know, it's fantasy action. I love fantasy movies, and this was, it was different, to be honest. It came out at the same year as a lot of like big things, like Toy Story 3 came out that year, How to Train Your Dragon came out that year, Iron Man 2 came out. A lot of big hits were out that year. And this one was different because it was obviously meant to be a retelling of it. You know, obviously go back to the history of sorcerers like 700 AD or something like that, some crazy year like that. But yeah, overall, it's really great. And the Disney intro is the most unique because like a lot of the time Disney intros are usually the same, like the Wish Upon a Star theme plays. But this time it's different. You know, a lot of these, I guess, live action retellings, not all the time are remakes, but they're just like, they happen to be live action movies that are from Disney, but they're not like remakes or anything like that. And this one was just like, obviously a retelling of the original story, way different, obviously. And the intro was different because it had a different theme, and also the fireworks that went off behind the Disney castle were more like magic sounds. Like it was like the sounds magic would make, and that's really cool. I like it a lot. It was a really neat fact. You know, I just loved the movie a lot. It was really fun, to be honest. Just like a lot of action, a lot of magic, a lot of really fun stuff like that. But again, I think the most interesting thing was having the prologue thing, like, you know, showing you know, Balthazar, Horvath, and Veronica all, you know, fighting Morgana, all that stuff, and Merlin dying and all that stuff. It's like, you know, Arthurian legend, but not exactly the same thing. Balthazar is basically the sorcerer, and Dave is the apprentice. That's kind of the idea. It's just a really fun part of the movie that they had the prologue, and they're kind of showing you the backstory of what's going on in the movie. You know, just kind of showing you what they've been up to in like 1,000 years. Although, if it's been 1,000 years, that would mean that the present day New York City would be like 1700, because the prologue of the movie starts in like 700 or whatever, like 88. That's like 1,000 years later. I would be like, you know, in the 1700s. That's a bit of a continuity error, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. Maybe they should have put like 900 AD or 1,000 AD. That would probably have worked. That actually would have been better if they did it. If they actually thought that through. There were other continuity errors that I found, like for example when Horvath breaks into Dave's apartment and asks for the Grimhall back, and he, you know, points out his I guess his paper, you know, his like report when he was 9, and then later on you have when Becky, who talks about his King Kong thing when he was 10. It's like, that's not true, because he said he was 9 when he did that, so that's obviously a continuity error. I mean, it's like not really like a one that you should be taking that serious, but it's like, I can understand it. I can see it. You know, it's clear as day what that is. It's obviously not true. He wasn't 10, he was 9, or maybe it's the other way around. I don't know. They obviously didn't think that through, so that's obviously a big continuity error. So that's just a couple of them, but you know, there you go, I guess. And one of the highlights of this movie, in the beginning of the film, present day New York, they're on the field trip. They have a young Becky and a young Dave. Young Dave is actually played by the same actor who played the son of Ben Stiller's character in the Night of the Museum films, or at least the first 2 anyway. And young Becky is played by Peyton List. Now, Peyton List is now obviously gorgeous, but like back then, she was so cute. Like, she was just adorable back then, because she played young Becky, and you know, she was just like yeah. And then now you look at her, and she's so beautiful. She's extremely beautiful. My God, like, she will always be my celebrity crush. You know, obviously she is a celebrity, so it's never gonna happen. But like, it's true. I've always thought her as a crush, because when you see her pictures, she is beautiful. My God, she is so gorgeous. But yeah, she plays the young Becky in this film. And then another actress who was actually Australian, who's doing an American accent. She plays a adult Becky, and it's just like it's just amazing how they can get those actors to play those parts. I mean, it wasn't even if Peyton List wasn't in there very long. If you don't know who Peyton List is, for while I'm talking about her, she was Holly Hills in the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series, or at least the first 3 of them, until they basically rebooted the entire franchise with in that movie and failing anyway. She played Holly Hills, which in the books of the films actually describes her as a very pretty girl. That's basically what she is, and it's true. It's very true. But yeah, she is great in this film. And since this is a Disney film, they had a really cool reference. They had an Easter egg for the genie lamp from Aladdin in the Arcana Cabana shop, which is really cool. Like it's like the first live action version of the lamp, the genie lamp. The genie comes from in Aladdin. Obviously, we get a more modernized live action version in the 2019 remake, which is, in my opinion, actually a pretty good remake. But it's just really cool to see that. It's just cool to see a version of that for the first time in live action like that. I don't think it's ever been done in live action before, at least until that remake came out, which is it's really cool to see that kind of stuff. And then later on in the post-credit scene, we see Mickey's hat. Mickey's Sorcerer's hat, or Wizard's hat, or whatever you want to call it, in the Arcana Cabana in the post-credit scene. And obviously, it's also where Horace comes back to take his hat back because he didn't die at the end of the film, but he was like cut out because he was like knocked out or stunned or whatever like that, but apparently he's still alive. And what's really crazy about that is the fact that if the film has been successful enough and had gotten a good reception, it would have gotten a sequel. I mean, obviously the reason for post-credit scenes in the first place is to potentially set up a sequel, but not everything is successful. Not every movie that has a post-credit scene, doesn't matter what it is, it could even be a Disney movie like this, it doesn't always gather a sequel, not all the time. I mean, Frozen 2 is getting a sequel, but that's because it was really successful, and that one had like a ice giant in the post-credit scene for that. It was like a really cool little setup, and they might be paying that off in the next one. I don't know, but with this one, they had that in there. And not only Mickey's hat, but also the possible return of Horvath. And unfortunately, since the movie wasn't successful enough, it was like it didn't perform well enough at the box office, and the critical reception was not very good. It was like 40%, but it's an opinion though. I didn't think it was that bad, but yeah, still. I mean, if the performance of the movie would have been better, we would have probably seen a sequel. I don't know what it would have been about, but obviously Horvath would have been the villain. I don't know if that would ever happen, but unfortunately, never gonna happen. So there you go. Now, one of the cool effects in this film, of many, is the sequence when Horvath comes out of the Grimhold, little doll thing, and these roaches are form him, and then he becomes whole, and it's a really cool effect. The same kind of thing happens with I guess dust or whatever like that. I don't know what it was, like maybe smoke, when Horvath comes out of the urn for the first time in 10 years. Also, he kind of forms out of what, like in this case, dust or whatever it was. And then Morgana in the form of Veronica also comes out like that, but it's like this sludge stuff. It's just disgusting. It's a really cool effect. I liked it a lot. It was a really cool way of introducing the character, and it's wonderful. I mean, obviously, Veronica is the woman that Balthazar fell in love with, or I guess they had a triangle, like it was like between Horvath, Balthazar, and Veronica. Veronica is this beautiful sorceress. I think she may be an enchantress. I don't know exactly how you say it. But also, one more interesting thing about that is that the actress herself, I didn't know this before, but she is considered to be one of the most beautiful women in the world. That's insane. I mean, I can get that, the eyes, and that's nice, but I really never think about it that much. It's like, whoa, this actress is that beautiful? Wow. I mean, the eyes do give it away, but like, whoa, that's crazy. One of the most beautiful women in the world. Well, I know a lot of celebrities who are as beautiful as her, but like, I mean, I think it's also pointed out the fact that she is, even when in her, like her 40s or 50s or whatever like that, how old she is, but she is still as beautiful. That's great. A lot of actresses stay looking good even after decades. So there you go. And one of my favorite aspects of this film is Dave's little music thing with the coils and all that stuff. When the sound waves create music, that's a really cool thing. I love that a lot, especially the song that plays, because like he becomes interested in Becky's radio show, and one of the songs that she plays is Secrets by some band. I don't know. It's a really good song, actually. It's really amazing. I love that song. And he actually duplicates it with his little music thing, his little electrical current thing, which is really cool. His coils and they make music. It's really cool. I mean, I think in some movies the romance isn't very good, like the chemistry isn't really there, but I could definitely see that the chemistry was there for this movie. You know, they had a really good chemistry. Like, he had a crush on her when they were very, very young, like 9, 10 years old. And then, you know, 10 years later, he's still after her. You know, he still wants to be with her. And it does work in the end, but, like, I think when you write romance right, you get it right. You have to have the characters have actually got a lot of chemistry and, you know, actually, you know, have the romance convincing, because if it's not convincing, there's not really a good, the writing isn't very good with a romance like that. But, you know, I think that for this movie they did a good job with writing the romance good, you know, making the having the characters have a good chemistry, which is really important for, you know, a love story like that, or even in, you know, a subplot having a love story, which is, you know, very important. And one of the sequences early in the film is when the puppet dragon, like the Chinese dragon that is you know, I guess operated by actual people, it turns into a real dragon, obviously by magic. It's really cool, you know. Like the feet become real legs, and it's just like, it's really cool, and it's obviously kind of terrifying in a way, but at the same time, it's just a really cool idea to have the dragon, you know, become real, and it's just like, wow, you know, it's really cool, and yeah, it's crazy, but it's really cool. Another, I guess, continuity error. I mean, I've already listed 2 of them, but I guess there's a third one maybe that I left out. I don't know if it really is a continuity error, but basically, when Balthazar presents Dave Withers and Candles, which is the book that is used to teach magic to Dave seems to remember it, but, you know, remember it being, you know, bigger. Dave seems to have seen it before, but that isn't actually true, is it? Because in the scene in 2000 when Balthazar is going to get the Incantus, the giant book that they had, you know, he's able to teach magic to Dave, but he doesn't actually show it to Dave. He doesn't actually see it. And so it's like, how can 20-year-old Dave know what it is? And, you know, have seen it before, and yet he didn't see it when he was a kid. So it doesn't make any sense, because he was not present when Balthazar was going to get it. So that doesn't really make sense. When Dave freed Horvath, he would never have been able to get the chance to see the book. So I think it's a bit of a continuity error, because that never actually happened. So I guess that's like, what, 3 continuity errors that I've found so far. That's like, wow. That's just crazy. Now, a pretty funny moment in this movie is Jay Baruchel, who is the actor who plays Dave in the film. He, in real life, is actually a comedian. So in this film, he remarks about the fact that when Balthazar gives him the shoes for an apprentice, he's like, but these are old man shoes. I liked it a lot. and Balthazar's like, excuse me? And then Dave's like, I love them a lot. Yeah, I think that's done on purpose, because, again, Jay Baruchel is actually a comedian in real life. That's just like, it's a perfect way to go. But yeah, I really like that. I also like the Star Wars reference. There was a Star Wars reference in this film when Horvath is confronting one of the guys at the desk in the school that Dave goes to, I'm pretty sure. Basically, he's looking for Dave in the database. Horvath's like, you don't need to see my identification card, and then he's like, oh, I don't need to see your identification card, which is obviously a big Star Wars reference. And then I guess Drake, who's the apprentice to Horvath, I guess, or maybe he's like more like partner in crime. I don't exactly know. He just kind of like, I guess he's an assistant or something like that. You get encounters that with these aren't the droids you're looking for, which is great. I love that, the fact that there's a Star Wars reference, because I don't know. I think that Star Wars was a part of the Disney family when the movie came out. I don't know exactly. I can't remember when Disney bought Star Wars, but it's really cool reference. You know, I don't really think they meant to do that, but it's like, it's just fantastic, because you don't know how much of a script is actually improvised. It's like, it's fantastic. I love that reference. It's just great. Now, one scene that was interesting that I didn't really understand how it worked was when Dave, after he has to try to clean up his place, he goes after Becky, and then suddenly he actually knows where to find her. Like, she hangs out in this coffee shop, but suddenly he knows where that is. Like, he just, like, wanders around and is like, oh, it's a coffee shop. Oh, look at who it is. It's like, really? He knew where to look? Like, I don't know what that was about. Like, maybe that was a continuity error, but it's like, how does he automatically know where to look? It doesn't make any sense. But speaking of the cleanup scene, since this is a retelling of the Sorcerer's Apprentice, or at least like a modern day version of it, because it doesn't have all the Fantasia stuff, besides obviously the mops and stuff like that, but basically the filmmakers knew they wanted to include a version of the original sequence from Fantasia. The sequence where Sorcerer Mickey, or whatever it's called, I think it's called Sorcerer Mickey. I mean, he has a wizard habit, so maybe he's a wizard, but Sorcerer, basically, pretty much the same thing. He basically uses all these mops to clean things up, and they wanted to, like, I guess, pay homage to that, kind of like, you know, reference it, you know, in a really great way. So, in this version of that sequence, Dave is trying to clean this whole lab up, you know, to prepare for Becky, because Becky's coming in like 10 minutes. So he uses his magic, or at least tries to use his magic to clean the whole place up, so, you know, get the mops and everything like that. So he doesn't have to do it by hand, because he can't obviously do it in 10 minutes by himself. His magic is going to make everything better. But that obviously backfires completely because he has no idea how to control it. Like, he doesn't understand it. So, but at the same time, it was really cool to include that, and also like the music from the original sequence is fantastic. That's obviously, I saw the behind the scenes for this movie, and they said it was that sequence is one of the greatest filmmaking achievements in history. Like, in Walt Disney film history, it is one of the greatest animation sequences of all time, and in filmmaking history, period. Which is incredible. That's like incredible to hear about. You know, the fact that they have that there, and they can recreate it in their own way, you know, in their own vision. And so basically, David has to like control all these things, and obviously he goes haywire because he doesn't know how to control his magic very well. So it goes completely out of control, which is obvious because he does not control his magic very well. But you know, I guess it's a learning curve for him. He feels like magic is gonna fix everything because he doesn't want to take extra time to make sure that he's ready for Becky. So that's what he did, and he obviously did not think it through. So, but it was a cool sequence to recreate, kind of replicate, kind of show how they could do a modern version of it. It was fantastic. You know, I mean, obviously the version they had where it was like just like the whole lab was just flooded with water, and like the mops and everything were like basically fighting back against Dave because like, oh yeah, you wanted us to clean your place? Well, we're gonna go crazy. So it's like that's the way it is. But yeah, overall, that's pretty much all I can say about The Sorcerer's Apprentice. It's a fun movie, to be honest. It's a really fun movie. They had a great cast, like, you know, Nicolas Cage, Jay Baruchel, Alfred Molina. I'm pretty sure that's all the big ones that they have. I mean, I mentioned Paintless, but like they had like other ones. Aside from that, that's all I can really think of that actually that I recognize. Most of them I don't really recognize, but they had a great cast, to be honest. Like, really, really cool cast that they had. And yeah, it's fantastic. What's really cool about the making of the film was the fact that they wanted to use as much practical effects as possible. So the actors kind of felt like they were actually doing magic, and then obviously they would make it look real in post production. So a lot of them had like lights and stuff like that, and the fire you see in the Merlin Circle is actually a real fire. They kind of, I think they tuned it up a bit in post production to make it look a little more magical. But for the most part, they did their best to actually make things work practically. And then obviously when they wanted to make things a little bit better, that they would, you know, add that in post production, make everything a little bit nicer. You know, obviously the magic was all post production, but they made these light things that actually make the actors feel like they're actually doing magic. So it was really cool to see that in the end. It really, really cool to see that all come together. And that's why, you know, I like seeing behind the scenes of films because they're really cool. I like them a lot. So that's pretty much all I'm gonna say about this movie. I'm gonna give it I really didn't have any problem with it except for the minor continuity errors. So I think I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I for sure loved it. It was fantastic. You know, in terms of the acting, in terms of the story, the narrative, everything like that was great. Yeah, it's just really fun to watch, and seeing the relationship between Balthazar and David was just fantastic. It's just really great. I seem to have a lot of chemistry. So that's pretty much where I'm gonna leave this review, and I really enjoyed the film. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Reviewed. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. I really appreciate it. And if you are new to this channel, subscribe for more episodes of this series and other series that I do, as well as other great content. Also make sure to click that bell, name all alerts, and with my see you.